Hey everyone, how's it going? Let's play some Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup with this beginner's caster's guide, and well, we finished up the lair. So, as I said in the last episode, it's time to go over to the Orcish Mines. So remember, you can push Control O to see the dungeon overview screen, which gives you information about which branches of the dungeon you have located, and we can see the Orcish Mines is on Dungeon 10 as it says here. But the nice thing is you can just push Shift G and it'll open up the places that you can go, and it says where to, and I'm just going to use capital O to say the Orcish Mines. It says what level, and it defaults to 1, so if you push enter you'll just go to the first floor. And I've never been in here, so it just steps me down, and immediately I see an ogre, which I will poison heavily, and he will probably die before he gets here, but just in case he doesn't, I'm going to set him on fire. And here comes an orc that will die. Okay, I'm just poisoning people randomly and letting them die, and then I'm going to step into an area. Okay, I'll just give this warg some sandblast. Alright. Kill these ogres with some ignite poison. Here's a Cyclops. He's actually dangerous. He can throw rocks at us that can hit really, really hard. But he's gone. We'll just blow him up with an ignite, and that's it. So some of this dangerous stuff that you can encounter in the Orcish Mines here, obviously there's a lot of orcs. I mean, that goes without saying. There's ogres. That's a two-headed ogre, which is tough. And then there are Cyclopses, which can throw stones. And sometimes you'll find stone giants, which are pretty nasty. Now, of the orcs, you need to be wary of course, the Orcish priests who will smite you. The Orcish wizards are annoying. They can confuse you, turn invisible, blink around, stuff like that. But the primary ones you want to be aware of are the Orcish high priests, I believe they are, and they have blue robes. They can summon things. They're very scary. And then there are Orcish knights and Orcish warlords. Orcish knights are in blue. They can inspire their allies, buffing them, and Orcish warlords are in like red plate armor, and they can also buff their allies, and they like have insane armor and can hit you for a bunch. So those are the main threats. Let's go into this shop that we found, and there's an artifact dagger and an artifact morning star for sale, so that's kind of cool, but we don't really care about that. Now, another important thing to note about the Orcish Mines, if you've never been here before, is that generally it will spill you into this little a chamber of Orcish Mines 1. And there isn't, sometimes there's a lot of enemies, sometimes there's not. We kind of got lucky that there wasn't that much, but you'll see that it's pretty small. And actually, I only have one scroll of magic mapping, so I'm not going to use it, but there's one staircase down, but there'll be several staircases up on the next level on Orcish 2. And there's going to be like other areas of Orcish 1 that I cannot get to right now. And so when going up and down the stairs in the Orcish Mines, be very, very careful that you have actually gone up and down that staircase before, so that you don't come up into a level of Orc 1 that you haven't cleared and you weren't expecting, and there's a bunch of hard enemies in there waiting for you. We go down, and it says you feel a wave of frost pass over you. So there is an ice cave, which is a temporary dungeon on this floor of the Orcish Mines. Temporary dungeons can spawn pretty much anywhere once you get to the sufficient depth of the dungeon. And they are a good place to find some treasure and experience, but can be very dangerous. Now, we have 1 pip of resist cold, so we could probably do okay in the ice cave. However, there's different varieties of the ice cave, and you can get one that has like icy simulacra inside, and they don't care about poison. So you want to be sure that you can actually do damage to the things in there. Now, also on the screen, this Orc Sorcerer, I forgot to mention him as a dangerous threat. He is a threat. He's got a red cloak, and he can cast some spells. And remember, you can just push X, use your cursor, go over him, and push V, and you can see that he can paralyze me, hit me with a bolt of draining, he can hit me with a bolt of fire, and he can summon demons. So he can do a lot of nasty things. Paralyze is one of their primary terrifying things, because when you're paralyzed, you're just standing there, and enemies that get a bonus to stabbing are hitting you like you are completely unaware, and will wreck you. Now, he only has a 33% chance to do that because I have my magic resistance at +1. Now, I could, if I chose, put on my magic resistant ring to give me some further protection, but I'm just going to poison this guy and ignite poison and poison him again, and he dies. By himself, he's not too bad. Alright, here comes a Cyclops, so let's just give him a bunch of vapors and ignite him. And he's just standing in the flames, so let's just step back, and he dies in the fire. And we'll just go ahead and regenerate. There's the Elven Halls right there. The Elven Halls is always found inside the Orcish Mines. And it is a place that has a very, very nice treasure trove on its 3rd floor. However, it is extremely dangerous. It is much more dangerous than the Orcish Mines or the Lair, and it is usually a place that I wouldn't go into unless I had a few runes already and I was feeling very, very strong. There's a bunch of spellcasters in there that can rip you apart. So, you know, just be mindful of the fact that it's dangerous, and you can risk yourself in there if you want, but especially on the treasure vault, there's a lot of elves, and they are high level, and they have huge nukes that can wreck you. Alright. So I'm trying to slowly explore Orcish Mines too, because this is indeed the floor where the treasure is. And so let's try to get there. This warg is resistant to poison, so I'm just going to hit him with Stone Arrow a couple times, and he dies. This is a Wraith. Wraith is obviously not impressed by poison, but he does not like Stone Arrow or Sandblast. So we'll just do that to him. We'll ignite this guy. Oh, and now we're getting a fair bit of enemies coming at us. And you will start to get overwhelmed on Orc 2. There's a huge concentration of enemies by the vault, and so if you get close to it, high-level orcs will start pouring out. That's your kind of indicator. And what you want to do, or at least what I'm going to do, is just walk away and try to thin the crowd. Now, you'll see right here that there's a staircase up, but this staircase up actually is going to go to a different part of Orcish Mines 1, and so it's pretty dangerous, but I'm going to actually go ahead and go up there because there's no enemies around here. The staircase is clear, and just see what's here. Now immediately, look, this is the Orcish Mines for you. I have appeared up here, looking at the mini-map on the right, and this is where I came in to the Orcish Mines over on this side. And now you can see I appear up here on the map. These are not connected. I could use a wand of digging to tunnel over to this chamber, but I'm in a separate chamber. I've got normal enemies around that aren't super hard, but I do have a troll. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cast Toxic Radiance, and you'll see that we're just radiating toxic energy, and I'm just going to wait. And I'm going to cast Toxic Radiance again, and I'm going to ignite the poison and basically clear the screen. This is why Poison Mage, Venom Mage, once you get to this point, is so powerful. The Orcish Mines really aren't too bad for this character, providing you don't get overwhelmed or get unlucky with some, unique enemies or stone giants, things like that. But for us, we're actually pretty good. Now, here's troll leather armor. You could certainly consider wearing troll leather armor if you wanted. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to show you that it is base armor 4, encumbrance rating 4, and it gives you regeneration when you wear it. So, for example, our robe is base armor 2, but has no encumbrance rating. Encumbrance rating is basically like how heavy the armor is and how much it impacts your ability to cast spells and dodge and attack in melee. So for you, the lower the encumbrance rating, the better for a caster. Now, also, the game now tells you if I remove this armor, my armor class will decrease by 7 and go down from 13 to 6. And then if I look at this, it says if I switch to this, my armor class will actually decrease by 3. However, it can be enchanted by +4, and I do have 4 scrolls of enchant armor, I believe. I have 5, actually. So I could make it better than my current armor, and it would provide more protection, because with armor, the higher the armor class and the base armor class, the more damage you mitigate guaranteed. So, like, base armor kind of raises the floor of that die that you roll with your armor class to determine how much you block from an attack that's mitigated by armor class. And so the higher your GDR, or guaranteed damage reduction, is the base of your armor class, the more damage consistently that you'll mitigate. And that's very good, but I don't think it's worth it at this point. Uh-oh. Alright, so I just fell into a shaft and dropped into Orcish Mines 2. Okay, and so luckily I dropped down here into an area where I have cleared out most of this. Unfortunately, here is Josephine. Now, she's a necromancer, and she has ghostly fireball, vampiric draining, and can dispel undead. So that's all very scary, actually. Luckily, I can give her poisonous vapors a few times, and then I can put a cloud here and ignite it, and Josephine should be about to die. I'm just going to give her Stone Arrow twice, and she's dead. Stone Arrow to the Wraith. I'll give Sandblast to the Wraith, and eventually he's dead. We've been slowed by one of these Wraiths, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to start walking backward, back toward the area that I have mapped out, and away from other enemies, because I want to get this Wraith off of me first, and then I want to rest and get my magic points back. You hear the loud crackling of a very distant melting archway. The ice cave, like other time dungeons, you really don't get that much time to locate them if you want to go in them. I have no real interest right now in trying to rush and find the ice cave, because because of the possibility that poison magic doesn't do anything to the enemies in there. And in my experience, the ice cave is actually really hard. And so, you know, it's good to go in there to get a look at treasure and to get experience, but I'm not going to rush to try to find it, because I'm not in a good position to do so. Not only because of my poison magic, but because I'm an orc too, and there is a treasure vault here and lots of hard orcs, and I don't have the luxury of being able to just explore haphazardly. I need to do a kind of meticulous and careful job looking around here. Alright, so just going to poison these guys and ignite them. Okay. Oh, here's a food shop. Like I said, on Orc 2, you're going to find shops. Now, here we have found the vault. Okay, so the vault is kind of like where all the hard enemies are and then where the shops will be. You can tell it's the vault because we have these stone structures. It's not the, like, rock wall. You see that this is just a rock wall, but this is a stone wall. It's been worked, and they've built themselves like a little castle on the lava. The vault itself is, you know, kind of like a random creation, but there are patterns that will let you know. And also, there is this statue here, like a decoration, and some hard orcs coming out. And this is how I'm like, oh, okay, this is the vault. So let's just... You don't want to rush into the vault. You want to try to lure as many orcs as you can out so that you can dispatch them easily. And trust me, there are a lot of orcs in there. Way more than you think. Alright, so then there's this one sorcerer dead, and let's kind of step in. And as soon as we expand the line of sight, we're going to start seeing more and more orcs. That sorcerer didn't see us. There he goes. And now he is summoning an ice devil. So let's just make sure we cast our spells on him. And I'll ignite him, and he dies. When you kill a summoner, all of the summons die with it. Do not target the summoned enemies if you can help it. They give you no experience. It's a complete waste. Alright. Now back into this little passage, there's like a scroll shop, which is awesome. And here comes another orcish sorcerer. He stepped out of line of sight, but because he's still alive, his summon is still here. This red devil. Remember, the purple circle in the upper left corner tells you that this is a summon. I'm just going to move over here and up here, and I will cast Toxic Radiance. I'll ignite poison and kill the one, and then this guy should die easily. Okay. Let me just kind of walk over here and see if I can get into this scroll shop. So, I have 2,000 gold, which is a huge amount. Here's a little tip that you can do if you find an early potion shop or wand shop. Well, not really wand shop, but scroll shop. Scroll of Torment is right here, and it's 82 gold, and it says it's unknown. If I buy this, it will be identifying all scrolls of Torment for me, and I don't need to worry about accidentally reading a scroll of Torment to try to identify it, because a scroll of Torment, when you read it, it does torment to you, which is, you know, doing about 1/3 of your health, something like that, depending on your resistance. So it's awful. It does it to the enemies around you as well, so there's that, but generally you don't want to hurt yourself to hurt other enemies in equal proportion. So I'm going to buy it just so it's identified. I will buy some scrolls of Identify as well. I need magic mapping. A scroll of Fear is quite good. And I'll leave Amnesia here. I don't need to have it on me at the moment. And that's enough. Yes. And I will buy those. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and push D to drop the Scroll of Torment because I don't really want it. I just want to have it identified. I'm also going to drop the Scroll of Vulnerability. Alright, and let's keep looking around. And here's just an orc wizard who will die in a moment. Okay, now here's a whole bunch of orcs. So now it's time to start doing Toxic Radiance. And we'll just step back and let the Radiance work its magic. And ignite them and they all die. And I'm just going to give this guy some Vapors. And Vapors again. And then Ignite and Vapors. And I'll hit him. He's dead. Alright, I'm just pushing O to auto-explore. And this castle kind of had like an outer area. And then you have to open up and go through some more tunnels and chambers to get into the inner sanctum. But there's going to be hard enemies all along the way, so let's just start clearing them out. I'll go ahead and use Toxic Radiance. I'll push S to wait, and I will ignite, and they all die. And this guy's going to die. Alright. Let's see, how many more guys are there that are going to come out? There's a bookshop, which is tremendous. I was really hoping to get a magic bookshop. Spell bookshop. As a wizard, it's great. As a melee character, you're like, oh my god. But for us, it's fantastic. Oh, okay. We've just found Arolcha, and let me show you something about Arolcha. You would think, like, you know, she is an ogre mage like us. But here's the thing you want to keep your eye on. She can banish you, okay? Banishment means you get sent to the abyss. This can be an instant death sentence, basically. She can also paralyze you and slow you. And she has Crystal Spear, which is a particularly hard-hitting nuke. So, first thing I'm going to do is step out of the... Oops, I'm going to step out of the way. And then I'm going to put on my ring of protection from magic instead of my resist corrosion ring. And then now, if I push X and then V on her, you'll see that my chance of getting banished went from 24% to 5%. So I've significantly increased my defense by raising my magic resistance to her hexes and her abilities like that. I'm going to go ahead and cast Poison Vapors on her. And now she's been confused mercifully. And so we can sting her. Oops. There we go. And then I'm going to Poison Vapors her. She's in the cloud with 2 tracks of poison, so I'll just ignite, and she's almost dead. And we will just give her Poison Vapors, and she's dead. So Arolcha is a very, very tough enemy that you want to take down as fast as possible, and a reason why you want magic resistance, because if you get banished, the Abyss is very challenging for casters early in the game, and even late in the game, because you just run out of magic points. Alright, I'm going in the shop. What you got? Now remember, just by going into this shop, now all of the scrolls, or all of the spells that are in here are identified by our available spells to memorize. I'm sorry, available spells to search for. So if I search by doing Control F and just say, for example, Blink, it now says that the Book of Minor Magic for 280 gold has the spell Blink in it. And so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to buy the Book of Minor Magic. You can also just figure this out by using exclamation point to examine the item and then push D on the Book of Minor Magic. And it shows you all the clouds in here, or all the spells in here rather, and the spells that you have memorized, you know, like this one, it's just gray because it's like you already have that. But we can get Blink, which is what we want. And so I'm buying this book. And so I'll switch from examine to buy, and I say, give me this. And I say yes. And then I'm going to quickly memorize Blink. Yes. And then I'm going to change my skills and turn off evocations and immediately start training translocations, which is the spell school associated with Blink, so that we can do that when we need, because that's one of the best ways to get out of melee range as a caster, and it'll help save our life. Alright. Hey look, there's Vehumit, an altar to our god. Beautiful. Okay, so we now have, oops, some good spells memorized, like Blink and Lee's Rapid Deconstruction for doing damage. I really haven't used this much. Still just kind of using the poison kit to wreck people. Now, I was looking at the spells that I can now memorize by pushing Shift M, and I see that I can actually get Fireball, which is a 5th level spell, and I can actually cast it pretty well because I'm decent with Conjuration. So I might consider that. It would take pretty much all of my spells slots. I have 6 left, and this would take 5, but it's a nice, powerful spell. Sticky Flame used to be insanely good, but I don't think I think it's been reduced in power. It puts basically a dot on people, which, you know, yes, I'm kind of doing that with poison. Anyway, I think it might be fun just to memorize Fireball. And additionally, at this point, with your caster, you know, you're getting maybe around experience level 14, you're in the teens or whatever, and you have mastered your initial spell book. You're doing pretty good with your spells in general. I would say, I'm going to turn off Earth Magic and turn on Fire Magic for a second. You're in a good spot to experiment and start thinking about what other spell schools you might want to go into. What other spells do you want to do damage with to help you survive? I actually have a pretty diverse, I've bounced around a lot. You see I have some Earth Magic, some Air Magic, you know, translocations. I'm working on conjuration, spellcasting, and it's okay to be diverse until you get what you really want to excel at, and then kind of start focusing on it. Anyway, let's keep exploring the Orcish mines. And now we've opened it up, and this is the main chamber here. This large doorway, and we see some guys. This river of lava that we see actually on the left is going to be kind of convenient for keeping enemies away from us, and I'm just going to cast Toxic Radiance and start radiating poison, and then ignite the poison. And we'll just go ahead and cast Toxic Radiance again and ignite it. And then, oh, might as well just Toxic Radiance again. Wait, and ignite it. Okay, and that's everybody dead. And you can see one of the great things about Vehumit is once you actually get multiple enemies dying at a time from your spells, you're triggering the ability to get MP back more than one time. And so, look, my magic points are actually pretty high, considering I was just spamming Ignite Poison and Toxic Radiance there. And so, it'll keep you afloat for a lot longer. I'm just going to give this guy Poison Vapors and Sting and, you know, Sandblast. Oh, I missed. I'm just going to hit him with my staff. Anyway, we had a Dagger of Protection. Very nice. So this kind of benefit of you're looking... AoE spells work very, very well with Vehumit in terms of returning MP. You're getting to cast this massive spell that's probably expensive, but at the same time, if you can kill a couple of guys, hopefully more than that, then you might be able to get your MP back, and then you can just start spamming some huge AoE spell. Luckily for us, Toxic Radiance and the spells that we have are not that expensive. They're not like 8th level spells or something like that. So we can actually cast them pretty easily. And you'll see I'm at 30 magic points out of 38. Now again, I do have that ring of magical power, which is a great item to have for expanding your spell pool. Or your mana pool, I should say. Alright, so this guy's poisoned and he's dead. There's an altar of Biog in the middle here, which is the Orc God. And you can see that this central place is surrounded by shops. So one tip when you get into here and you've actually cleared everything, don't buy anything until you look at all the shops first. And because you don't want to buy something and then not have enough money later for something else. Now these potions of heal wounds and haste are very, very tempting. And so I might get those, but I want to see to be sure that there's nothing else that I'm looking at. For example, like the +3 crown of Dyrovepreva. I believe that this is a fixed art, because I've gotten this item before. And it gives you resist electricity, intelligence +2, and see invisible, and it's +3. It's an extremely good item for us right here, but it would cost pretty much all of our money. So let me make sure there's no other shops. I'm just auto-exploring, and that's going to take me a second to get around. Now look at my hat right now. I have like a +2 hat, so it's not bad, but it does nothing. If you look at my stats, I don't have resist electricity, and I also don't see invisible. So the amazing utility I'm getting from that hat mean that I'm pretty much 100% going to buy it. But I just want to double check that there's no other shops lying around here. All right, so here's our first orcish knight to talk about, if I haven't already. He's the guy wearing the blue-gray armor here. And like warriors and warlords, they have heavy armor and a big weapon, so they are formidable in melee. Now let's look at him. He has battle cry, and what does that do? Remember, you can just push the letter corresponding to the ability to see it, and it inspires nearby allies of the caster to fight more aggressively, increasing the strength of their blows. So basically, battle cry puts might on the other orcs around him when the knight uses it, and it makes them hit significantly harder. So like enemies that you weren't really that afraid of, when they get buffed, you should be afraid. And so we need to kill this right away. Like if he buffs up that orcish warrior with that two-handed polearm he's using, he could devastate us. So I'm just gonna radiate a bunch of poison, and then there you can see he's done it. He's used his battle cry, and all three of these orcs right here, it says in purple, the Orc Knight roars a battle cry, the orcs go into a battle frenzy. And you can see this little, like, almost like a flame icon in the upper right of them to indicate that they've been buffed. And so it's time to be afraid of them. And I'm just going to radiate some poison, push S and wait. And I'm going to then ignite the poison, and then I'm going to just, I'm radiating poison, so I'm just going to wait. And then ignite, and then we can just poison vapors that guy. And so the good thing about our spell kit at this point is that we absolutely decimate most orcs, and we're going to continue to do that. Now there's a little special chamber down here with these blue walls. We'll see what this is about. Oh, that's right, this is where the ice cave was, the temporary dungeon. And it has closed. You can see, if I mouse over this, it says a collapsed entrance. So I've missed the time to enter the ice cave or cavern, but honestly, I'm fine with that. I don't really care about it. This is a good opportunity to use Fireball. So I'm going to just dump a Fireball right here. Fireball explodes on impact. And these Ice Devils hate it. One thing you want to be wary of is with a spell like Fireball, it's extremely loud. If I go into my spell information, you can see that like Lee's Rapid Deconstruction is just basically an explosion, so it's almost as loud as you could get. And Fireball is also very loud, so you see my noise meter has filled up significantly, so all enemies around are aware of my presence. It doesn't really matter too much because I've cleared out a lot of this area, but, and even there, you can see how annoying those Ice Devils are. They don't care too much about poison. So, you know, again, the Ice Cavern was just not that attractive. All right, let's go buy our crown. So I'm going to go in and buy the crown, and I will spend all but nearly 400. And we are at AC 13. I'm going to Shift W to bring up the wear screen, and I'm going to push capital O to put on this crown. Our armor class does go up to 14. We have a cool graphic on our head of the crown, and if I push Shift 5 to bring up my character card information screen, you can see that I have resist electricity and see invisible, as well as resist poison and resist cold. You kind of want to have as many of these on as you can, but with particular emphasis on these. Resist fire, negative energy, corrosion, electricity, poison, everything over here is fantastic. Stealth is you know, okay for some characters. It's not a huge deal for us. And then, you know, Spirit Shield, Reflect, Harm is terrible. These are just kind of completely optional, although See Invisible is really, really helpful. All right. So now we have finished Orc 2. All right, everybody. Well, look at that. I think it is time to make sure that Orc 1 is clear. So let's just go around and scum around Orc 1 for a moment. I'm going to get all the gold I can. Ooh, okay, and this is one of the things I wanted to warn you about. When you go up, so often in my experience, if there is a side chamber to Orcish Mines 1, there will be some kind of unique in here. And in this case, it is a rug, who is an orc who is very, very dangerous. Let's check out what she's got. So she can hit for 25 plus her Evening Star, which hits for a lot. So that melee damage is scary, but she also has javelins, and javelins are terrifying weapons. Silver javelins are scarier, but javelins still can hit really, really hard. So that's a concern. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Shift Z, and I'm going to cast Mephitic Cloud just like right on top of her. And of course, it doesn't hit her square. So I'm going to try it again. There we go. And now we got her confused. So we can Poison Vapors her. And then I'm going to ignite the poison. Now she's just walking around. When enemies are confused, they will disregard clouds of fire and just walk into them willy-nilly. So she's getting wrecked by fire. And just blast her with a stone arrow. And I'm going to Poison Vapors her. And she says, why is everything spinning? Because she's confused. And I'll just sting her. And then now she has 2 internal poisons and she's in fire. So I'll ignite poison and she dies. Great. An Evening Star is a terrific mace. It's the highest base damage on a one-handed mace in the game. But we're not using it. Scale Mail Magic Resistance is fine, but again, we're not using it. We're more just killing her to get her out of the way and get the experience. Alright, and so let me go down, and let me check to see if there's any other staircases. I bet this staircase, yep, takes us into yet another unexplored area of Orcish Mines 1. Now these are worth actually going to investigate because, like I said earlier about the Orcish Mines, it contains so much money. You can see all these gold piles just lying around. So we can actually fortify our finances quite significantly here. I'm already up to 632 gold, so I got like, you know, roughly 230 gold in these unexplored branches of, or these unexplored kind of like caverns in Orc 1. And let me just make sure there's no other staircase up. There isn't. And so my job now is to go into the shop. I am not going into the Elven Halls now. That is not the path that we're going to do. We're actually going to go into this store and buy some potions. And then the next step after clearing the Orcish Mines is to hit the lair, in my opinion. And because we've cleared the lair, it's now time. Actually, I'm sorry, scratch that. I like to do the lair, then the Orcish Mines, which is what we did here. And then it's time to actually start going for a rune. So we're thinking about which branch of the dungeon can we get a rune in. Let's buy our potions first. I'm going to buy Heal Wounds. I'm going to buy 1 haste potion. Actually, I'm going to buy 2 haste potions. They're great for running away. And I'll buy a resist potion as well. I'm just going to spend like a bunch of my money because you don't know when you're going to see another shop. And so money can become like something that you really can't do anything with sometimes. And so I like to take the sure thing, especially on really useful potions like this, Now, I'm going to push Control O and open up the dungeon overview, and we can go to the spider's nest, the swamp, or the slime pits. And those are the branches that contain runes that we've opened up. And it's either the swamp or the spider. And I'm going to do the swamp. I find it to be a little easier, if not the easiest rune branch in the game. And so let's head there for the next episode. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are learning right along with me, and I hope your caster is going extremely well. Please post any questions you have in the comments below. And I will check you guys in the next episode. Take care.